of which I don't think anybody's seen before. And thank you all very much. It's a great honor. I'm going to ask J.D. Vance to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, very much for your leadership, but also for the kind words about me personally. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but then after the President said that I was so smart and that I didn't want to repeat our Congresswoman who froze for 20 seconds over in Munich, now I'm tempted, sir, just to freeze for 20 seconds and just stare at the cameras, and maybe they'll say nice things about me like they do about Congresswoman Cortez. But I have three very brief messages. First of all, to the President of the United States, but to the entire team, to Marco, to Steve, to Jared in particular, who've done such an incredible job. I think what this Board of Peace represents is a recognition that if you actually have a President of the United States and a team that's committed to diplomacy, it can actually work. When I look at what happened to Israel on October the 7th, all those innocent people who were murdered, the fact that you had all of these hostages, and of course, a terrible war that came from it, I remember thinking to myself, how is it ever going to be possible to get these hostages home safely, to make it possible for the people of Gaza to actually have a reasonable future, but also to ensure that Israel is never attacked again? It turns out the answer was you just needed a president who was committed to the effort and committed to the work, and that's what we had, thankfully, under the leadership of this president. And you got to make peace, but then you have to make the peace stick. And that brings me to my second point. That's what the Board of Peace, I think, is fundamentally about, is making the peace stick. And it's an incredible thing that you guys have all done. So to all of the leaders gathered here today who are investing in the future, who are investing in peace, we're grateful to you. We're grateful for your partnership. And in particular, I think to the President of Azerbaijan and the Prime Minister of Armenia, who I just saw last week, thank you all for making it possible and for showing what real leadership can accomplish. When you set aside weapons and killing and destruction and invest in your people and invest in prosperity, it can create great things. So thank you both for what you did. I think it showed great leadership. And finally, to the American people, I think it's important that the American people recognize why we're here today. And the reason that we're here today is, yes, to save lives and yes, to promote peace, but this creates incredible prosperity for the American people. The countries represented here represent trillions of dollars of investment in the United States of America that would not have been possible without this president's leadership and advocacy for peace. The economies here represent millions of American jobs of people who are receiving products built in American factories and made by American workers would not be possible without a focus on peace. So, Mr. President, while I think this is great for the world, I also think it's really, really great for the United States of America, so we're looking forward to the partnership. With that, I want to turn it over to the MC for the rest of the program, and that is our great press secretary, Carolyn Levitt. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, for convening the first ever Board of Peace meeting, and we will now hear from our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
I'll be brief and to the point. We want to talk a little bit about the strategic vision of this organization and begin doing so by first acknowledging that we are here today because the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has both an ability and a willingness to use the power of his office to think outside the box. And that's why we're here today. This was a very unique crisis in Gaza, one that the existing international institutions could not solve or figure out. It needed a very specific type solution that required the partnership of all the nations that are here, including those that are here on an observer status. And we appreciate you coming today and being a part of this as well. And that's the point I want to drive home today. And soon you'll hear from Steve and Jared, who, by the way, deserve an incredible amount of credit for pulling this together and working countless hours and traveling all over the world. They truly deserve our appreciation and thanks for the work they've put in under the leadership of President Trump to make this possible. This Gaza situation was impossible to solve under orthodoxy, under existing structures. And so what we did is they went to the UN, and they got the UN's approval to put this group together and bring these nations together to come up with a very specific solutions to a very unique and specific problem. We have a long ways to go. There's a lot of work that remains. It will require the contribution of every nation state represented here today, and we thank you for being a part of it. And we hope that this can serve as a model for other complex and difficult situations so they can be solved in the same way. But right now the focus is on this one. We have to get this right. There is no plan B for Gaza. Plan B is going back to war. No one here wants that. Plan A, the only path forward, is one that rebuilds Gaza in a way of enduring and sustainable peace where everyone can live there side by side with one another and never worry again about returning to conflict, to war, to human suffering, and to destruction. And again, Mr. President, thank you for having the vision and the courage to pursue something that has never been done before, and we're not done yet. And thank you to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for the time and the work they put into this. And thank you on behalf of the State Department and the U.S. government to all of the nations that are here. Every one of you is indispensable, including our observer partners, who we hope can find your way to join us at some point as officially part of this. But we are grateful for the fact you're here today and the contributions you've made already. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. We will now hear from our special envoy, Steve Witkoff.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I don't know if we ever believed that this was possible when we first started envisioning a board of peace, but of course, under the President's indispensable leadership, and it begins with that. It begins with President Trump's leadership and his direction. We are here today, and it's pretty amazing. I think we have some people to thank. We had an amazing partnership between the mediating countries, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, Prime Minister Mohammed. You are an exceptional human being. You really are. Ali, thank you for everything you did. That's you right over there, Ali. Wherever Hakan is, Hakan, you were amazing. And so was Ibrahim and President Erdogan, and of course, to the Egyptians, Badr, I know you're smiling because we went through so much. And General Hassan was amazing. We all became friends here. And Prime Minister Sisi, President Sisi, pardon me, and so many others. But our team, JD, your insight, your counsel, and Marco, you're an amazing secretary, and it's a privilege to work for you. And Jared, you are my dear friend and the best partner I ever had. You are an amazing person. But Mr. President, it is my greatest honor to work for you. It is the blessing in my life. I've had many blessings. I don't have to be a practicing lawyer anymore, but this is my greatest blessing. But I also have to mention one other person who is important to this discussion. Oh, the Israelis, I forgot. Prime Minister Netanyahu. Without him, much wouldn't have been accomplished as well. And that's really important that we acknowledge him here today, and Ron Dermer. But a person who doesn't care much about the acclaim, we have to acknowledge too, and that's you, Susie. Because I would come back and you would say to me on every trip, what can I do for you? This matters. And you are an inspiration for all of us. So I thank everybody, and let me get on to, am I going on to the next slide?
Sure.
Caroline?
Sure.
Okay. So with regard to the hostages, we're here today, again, I say it, I know it sounds redundant, but we're here today because of President Trump. Without him, none of this was possible. There were 251 hostages. 168 came out alive. 83 bodies were returned to their families so that they could grieve and remember their loved ones like in a normal way, in a way that brought their families together. So that was just as important. This was a monumental effort, and I want to tell a story about the President. Every time a hostage family came to visit with us, they were not on the President's schedule. I would walk down to the Oval Office, I would tell the President that there was a hostage family here, and he would say, Steve, bring them up. Every single time. Mm-hmm. And when we got the last 20 out, we had a celebration at the White House, and I could see the emotion on the President's face. And he came up to me and he said to me, I have to tell you, this is my 5th year in the Oval Office, and I don't know that I've ever had a more special time than this moment with these people, seeing them come home. And I said to the President, you have to look around because none of them would be home without you, sir. None of them. So I only want to tell you, Mr. President, you gave me my greatest honor to work on this effort, and I thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Now you're going to hear directly from the team that has been tasked with implementing President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, beginning with our ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. President, Excellencies. First, let me wish everyone a happy and prayerful Ramadan. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. Mr. President, Excellencies, bottom line, humanitarian aid has absolutely surged since the Gaza war ended. Our Central Command, our great military, is working together with Israel, with the UN, so many countries here to coordinate the aid, to make sure there's deconfliction. Over 70 countries now are participating in our Civil Military Command Center, and here are the results. Aid is up. 4,200 aid trucks have entered Gaza each week for 13 consecutive weeks, the longest stretch of high-volume assistance to Gaza in years. Diversion is down significantly from prior to the ceasefire, with less than 1% diverted this month. Food supplies are way up. We are reaching the full 2.1 million Gazans with aid, up 5 times from the delivery levels before the ceasefire. The percentage of households experiencing severe hunger has dropped from about 30% to down to 1%. As of this past February, drinking water has doubled and child malnutrition has been cut in half. If we could go to the next slide. Mr. President, only under your leadership and this great team could we bring together the United States, Israel, Egypt, Jordan, the UAE, the United Nations agencies. Mr. President, bottom line, like you, this is a board of action, not a board of endless talk or speeches, and these results are a true testament to your leadership and the leadership of this great team. We are saving lives, and it's an honor to be a part of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Ali Shith.
It is my honor to be here representing the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza. Thank you, President Trump, for your leadership, for your continued efforts. A new governing authority is now in place for Gaza, with a clear mandate and a clear commitment to establishing development and stability. However, we are operating in extremely difficult conditions. Large parts of Gaza Strip are severely damaged, destroyed actually. Humanitarian needs are acute. Law and order remain fragile. This is not normal operating environment, President, which is precisely why discipline and prioritization matter. Our priorities, therefore, are defined into 4 categories. First, restore security via professional civilian police under one authority, one law, and one weapon, including training and developing 5,000 Gazan police to be deployed in 60 days. Secondly, revive economic activities and livelihoods, creating decent jobs, especially for our young population. Thirdly, ensure sustainable emergency relief as described earlier. Fourthly, restore basic services including electricity, water, health and education, and last but not least, the access and movement. Our mandate is simple, President. Step by step, to build the foundation for lasting peace, dignity, and prosperity for the people of Gaza. And this is where we count on your continued leadership and support. Blessed the peacemaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Nick Madinov.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Mr. President. Today, we're very happy to announce that we're creating the Office of the High Representative for Gaza of the Board of Peace, which will be there to support, to guide, and assist the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, hopefully removing the roadblocks that they will be facing in taking over civilian and administrative control of the Gaza Strip. We plan to work in full transparency under the guidelines of and supervision of the Board of Peace and the Executive Board. And of course, we will do that in great coordination with the Israel and with the Palestinian institutions, who we both require to make this work on the ground. And certainly with my very good colleague here, General Jefferson, the International Stabilization Force that is coming together. Mr. President, if I can actually use the opportunity to announce some breaking news that as of this morning, we started the process of recruiting Palestinian police force that Ali was just referring to. And just in the first few hours, we have 2,000 people who have applied to join a new transitional Palestinian police force to be formed in Gaza under the authority of the National Committee, with the support of the Board of Peace, trained in Egypt, where we have received an excellent proposal of how to do that forward. And this is critical to what we need to do as we begin this process. And if we may move to the second slide. It is this Palestinian security force, under the authority of the National Committee for the Transition Period, that will allow us to ensure that all factions in Gaza are dismantled and all weapons are put under the control of one civilian authority. The only way to do that is the full implementation of the 20-point plan and the UN Security Council resolution, which binds us all to make sure that that is the way forward. We have now a fully agreed framework with the mediators on how to do this, and I thank very much the state of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for their excellent support in this. We now need to move forward on communicating it and negotiating the details of the implementation plan with the factions on the ground. But rest assured to all of you that we're on the right track, and if I can ask one thing of all of us, is to make sure that we have one message. There is no other option except the full demilitarization and decommissioning of all weapons in Gaza for reconstruction to begin and for people to have a new way of life going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, and congratulations. Now, Major General Jasper Jeffers.
Thank you, Caroline, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here today as the ISF commander. The ISF will do two things: stabilize the security environment in Gaza and enable civilian governance as established by the National Committee. For the last few months, we've had a team on the ground of U.S. military experts preparing the infrastructure for the ISF. This team's already operating from a combined joint operations center that's going to be the headquarters for the entire ISF. As you can see on our map, our plan is for the ISF to be assigned in 5 different sectors, each sector receiving 1 ISF brigade. In the short term, we plan to deploy to the Rafah sector first, in addition to the training of police. Midterm objective is to continue to expand, sector by sector, all moving to our long-term 12,000 police and 20,000 ISF soldiers. I'm incredibly pleased to announce today that the first 5 countries have committed troops to serve in the ISF: Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, and Albania. And 2 countries have committed to train police: Egypt and Jordan. I would also like to announce that I have offered and Indonesia has accepted the position of Deputy Commander for the ISF. With these first steps, we will help bring the security that Gaza needs for a future of prosperity and enduring peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Major General. Mr. Tony Blair.
For decades, Gaza's governance has been characterized by extremism, corruption, ineffective institutions, and the complete absence of a route to prosperity for the Gazan people. Yet, as President Trump recognized, its potential has always been vast. 25 miles of Mediterranean coastline, proximity to great regional and global markets, and a young, dynamic population with a median age of 19. So today we set out profound changes necessary to rebuild Gaza for Gazans. Gaza not as it was, but as it should be, including its governance. Effective public institutions serving the people, a business environment where enterprise flourishes, an education system educating the young for tolerance and achievement, and a tech-enabled society making the most of the digital revolution. This is a vision of Gaza as part of a Middle East at peace. Not a phony piece of declarations no one means and agreements no one intends to keep, but a genuine commitment to a region where, whether you're a Muslim, Jew, Christian, of any faith or none, you can rise by your own efforts and feel your government by your side, not on your back. That is the vision behind President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, and it remains the best, indeed the only hope for Gaza, the region, and the wider world.
Thank you. Mr. Yakir Gabay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. President. Gaza is destroyed. We assembled here on this historic day with common vision to rebuild Gaza for the next generations. Our mission is to recycle and remove 70 million tons of rubble and UXO and hundreds of miles of tunnels, arrange for the population fast temporary housing, in parallel to start construction of infrastructure and permanent housing. We have a detailed master plan for housing and infrastructure of modern schools and hospitals, manufacturing and agriculture, roads and trains, water and energy plants, logistic hubs, telecom, tech and data centers, sports and leisure facilities, seaport and airport, and much more. We lined up many regional contractors who build housing for millions of people in the Middle East. They will join the massive redevelopment with competitive pricing. The funding is ready and will be invested in a free economy. The local population will build their own cities, which will create hundreds of thousands of jobs and will revive the economy. The Gaza coastline is 26 miles long. It can be developed as a new Mediterranean Riviera with 200 hotels and potential islands. The value goes to the Gazans through the Gaza Sovereign Fund. This plan is all subject to a full disarmament of Hamas. Thank you very much. Together we will make this vision into a reality.
Thank you. Mr. Liren Tanmin.
When we asked the NCAG what Gaza needs to unlock its potential, the answer was clear. Reconnect Gaza to the world, digitally and economically, and replace corruption with an open, tax-free system. Gaza was once a vital trade hub between Asia and Europe. Reconnection is a return to its roots. Even the word gauze comes from Gaza, where silk was woven and exported to Europe. So, we brought together Palestinian, Arab, and American partners to deliver practical solutions. By July, Gaza's 2G network will be upgraded with free, high-speed access to essential services. The NCAG is building a secure digital backbone, an open platform, enabling e-payments, financial services, e-learning, and healthcare with user control over data. This effort is supported by our regional partners, and I believe you will hear some exciting news from them on that later today. In parallel, we're advancing an Amazon-like logistics system to help Palestinian launch businesses import globally and trade securely. This will lower prices, drive growth, and help transform Gaza into an open, transparent, corruption-free economic zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Rowan.
Mr. President, distinguished leaders, the goal is simple. Take the momentum all of you have provided and build it into something that is not just temporary relief, but something that provides a long-term foundation that will enable many of the goals we've spoken about today to be achieved. We plan to do this by gathering Gaza's productive assets in one unified structure. This will allow independent, professional, conflict-free management of the resources to benefit the Gazans. This will also enable expeditious planning and zoning and not fragmented projects that do not contribute to an economic whole. The potential here is tremendous, but it has to start somewhere. The start is in Rafah, where, as you heard, that will be the first place security is deployed. The plan is 100,000 homes for 500,000 residents plus $5 billion of infrastructure. Over time, 400,000 homes for the entirety of the population with more than $30 billion of infrastructure. Let me put it in financial terms. This is not a problem of money or collateral. This is a problem of peace. The coastline alone, $50 billion of value on a conservative basis. The housing stock, more than $30 billion as rebuilt. The infrastructure, more than $30 billion. $115 billion of value. It just needs to be unlocked and financed.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Ajay Banga.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Mr. President. All this requires money. And so when the UN Security Council resolution got passed, we set about creating the Gaza Reconstruction and Development Fund at the World Bank. It's housed there. The World Bank's role is that of a limited trustee. We manage the donor contributions coming in of the type that the President said a little earlier in his opening remarks. And then we help to manage that money while it stays with us. And under the direction of the Board of Peace, we disperse the money for reconstruction and development projects in Gaza. This fund is ready to receive the donations that he spoke about just a little while ago. The second part of the story is that you as donors deserve the right to know that the money is being used in a transparent way. We are helping, along with the Board of Peace, which takes the ownership of ensuring that the right kind of financial, legal, and oversight mechanisms are being put in place. We've even assigned a financial controller from the World Bank on a secondment basis to the Board of Peace to ensure that we can try and help build the best standards in this process. Now, this is just the beginning. This work is going to need 2 or 3 things that the World Bank Group can bring to the table. The first is leveraging of public finance. Because of our AAA rating, we have the ability to leverage private bond money to help to create the resources we need to do what Mark just talked about. The second is we can de-risk private investing. And the third is we have people on the ground and expertise and knowledge of doing this kind of work in other markets. We want to be not an armchair critic of a process, but an active participant in giving Gazans and people in the region the opportunity of the lives they deserve the one time we get these answers. So thank you again.
Thank you all for your tremendous work. Before we turn it over to many of the distinguished leaders who are here today, we are going to hear from Mr. Kushner to talk about the future of the Board of Peace.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Rubio. We cannot change the past, but I think that what you're seeing today is that we can potentially change the future if we focus and do this in the right way. We tried to structure this meeting like a proper board meeting, like we do in the private sector, where we have all the preparation, we get the right people together, and we really report on what our challenges are, what the opportunities are, and what are the approaches. What you've seen today is just a small sample of the work that's been done, and I really want to thank the entire team that's worked so hard at this. A lot of these people are volunteers. They're doing this not for any personal gain. People are not personally profiting from this. They are really doing this for their children, for their grandchildren, and because they want to see peace. One small anecdote is Liran said to me, "Are you sure I should be presenting? I'm a Jewish Israeli and I'm working on Gaza and all these things." And I said, "That's exactly why you should be presenting today." If Jews and Muslims work together, Israelis and Palestinians with Americans and English and Bulgarian and people from all around the world, then we can kind of join on a common goal, which is peace and togetherness, and that's really what we've done. I want to thank President Trump. I remember working with you on your first foreign policy speech in 2016 that you gave at the Mayflower Hotel, And at the time, those ideas were considered to be very, very radical. What I saw as somebody who didn't have any foreign policy experience were just common sense ideas. Why can't the world be better? Why can't there be peace? Why can't there be more prosperity for all people in all ways? And I think over the last decade, you really have changed the way that the world thinks about a lot of these things. And I think that this organization is bringing a new approach and new ideas and new people together in order to effectuate it. I'd really like to thank all the countries that joined on very early. I see this as a very self-selecting group of countries that really believe that the future can be different and wanted to join in partnership and put their reputations and their resources and their time and their ideas on the way to say, these are the challenges we're putting into that we're solving in our own countries. We want to come with new ideas because we've achieved success and we believe that the world can be better in that regard. So I don't have to go through these slides in great detail, but we've secured today, even without the president's amazing commitment, over $7 billion. As Mark said, we don't really have a resource issue here, although we are going to need everyone's support. We just need to be executing and doing this in a good way. We've dealt with the humanitarian issue. We've returned the hostages. But the one final thing I just want to talk about as well from our perspective is that the President Trump in his heart wanted to get the hostages home, but he also really wanted to help the people of Gaza. He saw the suffering that they were enduring, not through fault of their own, because of the bad leadership that they had, the situation they were born into. The war was a horrific, horrific situation. And I think through this process, thanks to Ali and the committee, we are now here to fully support the committee. We are here to help the people of Gaza, to lift them up and give them every opportunity to succeed. And we really see this as a partnership with them and with the Israelis to see if we can create an environment that can be peaceful, that can be functional, that can offer people the opportunity to really live a better life. And I think you've seen some of the work today, and hopefully we'll be successful. Like I said, the last one, failure is not an option, and we have to really push forward and keep finding ways to succeed with this. So really thank you, President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Secretary Rubio, and obviously Steve, who's been, like he said about me, I feel just about him. Working through all these challenges has been an absolute honor and a pleasure with you, and I've really been very lucky to have your partnership. So really thank you all, and I'll give back to Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
The war Hamas began has left. The war Hamas began has left Gaza in ruins. Yet from these ruins, a new future will rise. President Donald Trump unparalleled achievements in just a few months. The United States, together with key regional and global partners, has signed the 20-point Gaza Peace Plan, a blueprint for security, peace, and prosperity. All the hostages returned, the living ones to their homes and the deceased to burial. Ceasefire is stable, and the killings from both sides reduced by 99%. The United Nations Security Council approved the establishment of the Board of Peace chaired by President Donald Trump, a governing body dedicated to providing security, infrastructure, and homes for Gaza's people, ushering in the new dawn for Gaza. The new Palestinian Technocratic Government of Gaza, the NCAG, was elected with consent of all parties, including the Palestinian factions, Israel, and the Arab countries. Rafah border crossing with Egypt was open. The NCAG will secure the disarmament of Gaza to ensure one authority, one law, and one weapon. The United States and its partners, in coordination with the World Bank, are pledging billions of dollars to rebuild Gaza. Safe areas are being established in Rafah and later across the Gaza Strip, where families can receive shelter, food, health care, and education. In Rafah, Gazans will build their first new city. The NCAG, with the Board of Peace, will expand development across the entire Strip, employing hundreds of thousands in reconstruction and business activity. Transportation, water, and energy systems will be restored, and a modern economy will begin to emerge. Children will return to classrooms with a curriculum that promotes tolerance, dignity, and peace. Our goal by year 3, Rafah fully rebuilt, unemployment curbed, and Gaza connected to the world through an Abrahamic gateway, linking it with Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and extending to India and Europe. By year 10, Gaza will be self-governed, integrated into the region with thriving industries and housing for all. This is the framework for Gaza's rebirth: secure, prosperous, and peaceful.
It's amazing. Now we will hear from our distinguished leaders who are here today, beginning with the King of the Kingdom of Bahrain. You're welcome.
President Trump, distinguished members of the Board of Peace, it is an honor to participate in this inaugural meeting of board convened by President Donald Trump. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt congratulations on this worthy and timely initiative. The meeting comes during the holy month of Ramadan, where we will pray to Almighty God that our endeavors will bring peace, security, prosperity to the world. As a founding member of the Board of Peace, the Kingdom of Bahrain recognizes and endorses the tremendous potential of this body, the extraordinary